Hey guys, welcome to episode 19. And this episode's going to be pretty jam-packed with some topics. We definitely have a full set list. With me to talk some Trek, as always, is Bill. How you doing this morning, Bill?
Pretty good. It's early, tired. Not as early as it is for you, but
Yeah.
uh, I'm feeling it a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, we do have a packed uh, little list of topics.
Yeah.
So looking forward to getting started and seeing what we have.
Yep. In this episode, we're going to talk about some fan film action, specifically Pacific 201. Before that, we're gonna go kind of a little bit deeper into Enterprise Season 2 and the finishing up of Deep Space Nine. So,
Yep.
yep.
So why don't you start? You literally just finished Enterprise Season
Yes, yep.
2.
I was
Like
up to like 12:45, and I was like, I'm just gonna finish it in the morning. I'll just be fresh and ready to go. So I finished The Expanse this morning, and I liked the kind of the wrap up of season two. Um, season two kind of started a little shaky for
yep.
me, um, but it kind of fell into its own at the end of the season. In The Expanse, there's this great line by Archer. He's like, they're getting chased by the Klingons, and the Klingons are like, bring her about and prepare to be boarded. And Archer's like, go to hell. And I just find that
I love
so awesome.
that.
That made me laugh. So,
He has no time for them.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. I remember loving
Yeah.
that when I first saw it. Like
Yeah.
badass Archer for once. Like
Yeah.
he's actually coming into his own and
Hmm.
like getting tough and standing up for himself. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a big little moment, actually. I think
Yeah.
um, he's usually up until that point like not a pushover necessarily, but he certainly knows Cisco. Like
Yeah.
he's not entirely threatening.
Yeah.
And seeing him stand up for himself like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Glad that stood out to you too.
Hmm.
Um, did any of the other episodes from the maybe that last stretch stand out to you? Like there's some pretty big ones in there. Like Cogenitor is a big one.
Yeah.
Regeneration, the Borg episode is often talked about.
Yeah.
First Flight is a big one.
Yeah.
Like which
So,
ones?
so I love those two that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Regeneration, I could go off on that, but Cogenitor. As I was watching it, I was like, this is kind of the middle of the road episode until
Mhm.
that last scene
Yeah.
when Trip goes into Archer's office or his ready room. Wow, I mean the not
Mhm.
just the scene itself was like the acting. I enjoyed the acting, but also the camera work in that scene is
Yeah.
like spot on.
Yeah. Really well directed.
So I think that last scene just makes that episode. It's like huge gut shot. Um, it's definitely a tough situation um, to kind of deal with. First Flight, love First Flight. I love seeing young
Yeah.
Archer or
Mhm.
definitely going back to Earth and exploring the First Flight, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's got a good guest star, Keith
yeah,
Carradine.
yeah,
Really cool.
yeah,
Um, totally buy him as like a flight captain,
yeah,
uh, old school like Chuck Yeager style.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, pushing the envelope, flight captain.
yeah.
Um,
So I would love to see him come on for like full time as like
yeah,
NXO2 or something like that, but
hmm
I guess it didn't work out. But
yeah,
still, it
yeah,
was awesome.
yeah. Really good character. Good actor. Um, I love the production design of that episode.
Hmm.
All the like flight control um, stuff on Earth is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Different And going back to Coach Editor, I totally agree with that last scene being like the standout, like maybe the standout scene of the season.
Hmm.
Uh, and I like the whole thing. I like the kind of like cautionary tale about why we need a prime directive before they even know that they need a prime directive.
Hmm.
It's kind of similar to Dear Doctor in that way, where they're dealing with, you know, getting involved with things that maybe, we shouldn't necessarily get involved with.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that one to me is a major like highlight of not just the season but the series. I think it's one of Enterprise's best episodes because of the power of the ending.
Hmm.
Um, and Regeneration is another one, like you kind of hinted at, is a controversial one that maybe we'll save for another time. But
Yeah, its own episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just briefly, I think it's really well like produced. It's well directed. It's tense, cinematic, like with the score and um, some interesting camera work. Um, but yeah, it's a tough one for
Yeah.
a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, are you at this point, like literally halfway through, like middle point
Yeah.
of the series? Are you feeling good about the show? Do you feel like you know
To
as
me,
good
like
as you remember?
when I was reflecting on it, it's like it's just coming up to this culmination,
Mm-hmm.
and then I feel like this is the beginning of the end. Even though I still have 2 seasons to go, it's like I know what's coming, and
Mm-hmm.
starting to bring up old feelings, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
just trying to repress those and enjoy Enterprise for what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, the best stuff is coming, but
Mm,
you're right. Like when you watch Enterprise, because you know what's coming at the end,
yeah.
with the short cutoff,
Yeah.
uh, it's frustrating. Like
Hmm.
just as it's getting good, you always have in the back of your mind that there's not a whole lot of it left. It's not like TNG or DS9 or even Voyager that kind of find their footing at around that point of the series and
Yeah.
have a lot more to go.
Hmm.
Have a nice run of seasons and lots of good episodes coming. Where Enterprise, you go into it knowing that it's going to be over sooner than you wish.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and it's definitely
I think by this time, like I feel like that I think Enterprise has kind of found its footing.
mhm,
Um,
I think so too.
I just think that the actors right now have pretty like yeah, they've settled into their roles,
Yeah.
and I think they're in that perfect spot. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I don't think. I mean, I don't want to, without getting too much into the Zindi stuff. I want to kind of wait to really dive into it until you've recently watched it. When
Hmm.
you're through season three,
Yeah.
that certainly is worthy of discussion. But you know, I get why they did it. I get why they felt like they needed to like
Hmm.
shoot some energy into the show and shake it up a little bit. But I think you're absolutely right. I think like the show on its own, without needing that, was kind of finding its footing and
Hmm.
getting more consistent with the quality, and the actors were getting comfortable and consistently really good. I think the show could have been good if they didn't do that. Like I don't think they needed to do that for the show to
Yeah.
be good.
Hmm.
They needed to do it for the show to be successful and
Yeah.
for the network to keep it on. Um, but I think it could have sustained itself. Keeping kind of on the track that it was on, with just getting more confident and um, more refined. Going into a season three that might have looked more like seasons one and two in terms of not having this big war story. And
Yeah.
I don't think it needed it to be a good show.
No, it
I think
didn't.
yeah,
It just adds to it, I think.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's a
Hmm.
good season, and I think it stands out as being, because it's so different and unlike anything we've had. Even the Dominion stuff isn't quite as it's more sprawling than this. The
Yeah.
Zindi thing is very focused and like kind of single track for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, I love it for that, but I don't think the show needed to go there if all things were equal. Like if they
Yeah.
didn't feel pressured to do it, I think it could have been a good show without it.
Hmm.
So yeah, um, kind of going to me. I finished Deep Space Nine last
Hmm.
weekend, um, and yeah, unlike a lot of the other shows, like TOS, TNG especially, when I finished those shows, I don't have the same feeling that I do with Deep Space Nine for some reason. When Deep Space Nine ends, I feel like real emptiness. Like I really miss it, and I think it's because there's real finality to the ending. Um, but at the same time, they have these threads of, you know, wanting to know more. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they don't completely tie it up into a bow,
Yeah.
um, but there's a real sense of finality, unlike those previous two shows, TOS,
Mm-hmm.
TNG, because they were going into TOS being a 60s show
Canceled.
that just kind of stopped, and
Yeah.
then you have movies coming,
Yeah.
and then TNG ending knowing that they had movies coming. So this is a different animal with the way that it ends, and the two shows that come after, Voyager and Enterprise, I think end more frustratingly than Deep Space Nine does. So Deep Space Nine gives me like a unique feeling at the end of it, where I
Yeah.
find myself really thinking about it in like nothing but positive ways when it's over. Like, you know, missing the characters, and
Yeah, for me, it was like when I finished Deep Space Nine for the first time, I had like a Deep Space Nine hangover. Like you were
mhm,
so emotionally
yeah,
invested in this show. Like once it's done, you're like, what the heck just happened? What do I do now? Like, you
hmm
know, so I definitely know the feeling for sure.
yeah. I mean, I've seen it, you know, 5 or 6 times over the years, and I'm
Hmm.
sitting at work this week, like after finishing it on Sunday, like sitting at my desk thinking about it,
Yeah.
like it was new again.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, wondering all these things, like it's really present in my mind
Yeah.
uh, for a good week.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I posted this question on Twitter that we kind of talked about. You
Hmm.
know, it was like true false. Like it was not me saying I think it's the best. Um, I was just posing the question to see if people agree or disagree. And a ton of people voted. The question was Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek series, true or false? There were, before we started the stream, there were 177 votes, and it's basically 60-40 yes, 58-42 yes, true.
Dang.
Um, yeah, and I didn't know what to expect when I posted that. I kind of suspected that it would be more
Hmm.
true than false,
Hmm.
because you know there are a lot of Niners out there, and I
Yeah.
think like you and I talked about kind of offline. I think there's a real distinction between best and favorite.
Yes, that's
um,
what I was just gonna talk about.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, and I think it's a pretty easy case to make. I think that Deep Space Nine is the best, you know, the most accomplished uh, of the series.
Hmm.
I don't know that I would pick it as my favorite, and it's not like a slight to it. It literally pains me to pick one over the other. It's really really hard for me to do. Um, but I can see why it would have results like that, almost 60-40 true that it's the best.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's so unique with the way that it builds on long form character development. Um, the sheer number of great characters. There's a full roster of really well developed, really compelling recurring characters, like a bigger list of recurring characters from Deep Space Nine that are really good than like more than a full show's worth of cast, you know, like
Yeah, a
another
couple
show.
shows combined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's like 12 or 15 of them, it seems like.
Yeah.
Um, it's really amazing. And their best episodes cover a wide range. Like
Hmm.
they could do anything. Like episodes like, um, you know, obviously In the Pale Moonlight is my favorite, and
Hmm.
it's dark and it builds on the story of the series in a really cool way. Like it's building up to that point. Um, it's a big moral, you know, question. Uh, it's challenging. It's tough. And then you have like Trials and Tribulations, which is so reverent and fun and
Hmm.
light. Uh, you know, Far Beyond the Stars, which is like its own thing. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, they cover a lot of ground. They can do anything.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's an amazing show. The different character pairings. I think that's what I think about the most, like the different pairings of characters
Hmm.
with that show, the relationships. It's O'Brien and Bashir. It's Cisco and Dax. It's, you know, Worf and Dax. It's stuff like that that just Odo and Quark. Um, those pairings I think are what elevate that show to
Hmm.
like maybe my favorite, like in
Hmm.
that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so What's the next one? Is Deep Space Nine next for you? Do you think, or are you gonna do like
TNG is next.
you're gonna do TNG next?
Yep.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yes.
Um,
So probably it'll go. Not to give any spoilers, but TNG, TOS, Deep Space Nine. I
Deep Space
want to
Nine.
save Deep Space Nine for January.
Hmm.
So when the documentary comes out, it'll be super fresh. I'll be ready to watch it and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day too when I was
Mm-hmm.
finishing it, and after Sunday night when I was finished What You Leave Behind, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
man, I really want to watch that documentary. Can't wait.
Yeah.
And then seeing a lot of I think Sunday was the day that they were really pushing it at the Vegas convention. They had a couple of panels, or at least a panel, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff coming out about that. Um, so it was kind of this perfect storm of getting excited about it and
Mm-hmm.
really wanting to see what they had in store for that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess it just depends. I guess for my rewatch, it'll probably go TNG Deep Space Nine because I don't know if I can get through TNG so fast
Mm-hmm.
before
Big
January.
show.
So.
Yeah. That's a good plan, though, to kind of line it up with that,
Mm-hmm.
because, yeah, that documentary is going to fit real nicely, like right at the end of the show, like to be able
Yeah.
to have that to like watch as you're finishing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really can't wait
Mm-hmm.
to check that out, and I'm sure we'll be covering it here once it's out, and we'll be giving our thoughts when we actually get to see it. Um, we've talked about it before, but just real quick, I'm just curious, like, what do you think about with Deep Space Nine as far as like those character relationships? Like, which ones come to mind for you when you think about it? Which ones are your favorites? I guess there's so
Um.
many.
Oh, there's just so many. It's so hard to pick. Um. I kind of like the Brashear and O'Brien. I love Odo and Quark. Um.
Mm-hmm.
I also love Bashir and Garrick.
Yes,
I
I was just
think
thinking about that.
yeah, I think that is such a fun dynamic to watch, and yeah, so those are kind of my big three, I guess. I think yeah, I said three, I think.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
It was
Um,
yeah,
um,
yeah. There's a ton.
yeah, I mean, you could go. That's a whole episode in itself.
It
So
is.
I
It
think,
is. Just pretty much every character has one.
yeah.
Every character has some sort of
Hmm.
connection, and some of them have more than one. With Cisco, you have Cisco Dax, you have Cisco Jake.
Yeah, Cisco Kira.
Cisco Kira
Yeah,
is a really interesting
yeah.
dynamic.
Hmm.
There's tons of them,
Yeah.
and they build off each other.
Hmm.
And I've grown to appreciate the skill of that, I guess,
Hmm.
and how many relationships they built, and
Hmm.
how diverse that list is. That it crosses over in all these different ways, and
Hmm.
that they overlap, and the way these characters interact. I think it really something that always comes to mind when I think about Deep Space Nine is it casualizes the 24th century in like a really cool way. Like
Hmm.
because they're staying in one place and you're seeing these people like really legitimately. I mean, they do in the Enterprise and Voyager too, but seeing them live together, going to the bar and just hanging out, like it gives it this feeling of like a lived-in space, even
Yeah.
more than those other shows do.
Hmm.
It feels real in a way that maybe some of the other shows don't quite get to.
Hmm.
It's just a different environment, and having the environment be like this space station that you're sitting in one place, and it's 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 more homey. It's more like a town than a ship.
Hmm.
Um, I think gives it a whole different vibe that
Hmm.
is just unique to Deep Space Nine and is valuable to the whole thing of Star Trek, the whole franchise, because
Hmm.
it gives that feeling of lived in reality. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna miss it. Not only am I gonna miss it, I'm when I finish Deep Space Nine, I only have 2 seasons of Voyager left, so I'm like coming right up at the end of this whole thing
Hmm.
that I started in April of. I started this round in April of 16, so it's been a while. I took my time. I didn't like blow through it like I have in the past. First time I did it on Twitter.
But what
Um,
better way to end a rewatch with some Voyager?
I know, right? That's the way I always do.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Voyager is its own animal that we're going to talk
yeah,
about when I finish
yeah,
Voyager. We're
yeah.
going to go really in depth on Voyager
I'm
because
excited
it's
for
pretty
that
fresh for me
episode.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's so much to talk about.
yeah,
Um, and like not to tip my hand, but I've talked about it before. I love Voyager like with
mhm,
all my heart. I really do. I
yeah,
love it, and I know you do too.
yes,
Um, but the conversation at the end of Voyager is different than the conversation at the end of Deep Space Nine. Like
yes, yes.
there's a
That's
different
that's
feeling.
very true.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, so I guess now's the time to, I guess, transition to our like topic of the
Yeah,
week.
let's
Uh,
jump into it.
yeah, this is our first time talking about non-canonical, like quote unquote real Star Trek, like
Yeah,
delving into fan production, um, which is a big animal, and um, there's a lot that kind of builds off of this whole conversation that we're about to have. I think
hmm,
that I'm sure we'll maybe dive into in the future.
yeah,
Um, but I think you and I share this opinion that Pacific 201 is like maybe the coolest of the fan projects that's out there right now.
yeah. It's not your
You're
it's not your run of the mill
no,
fan film for sure.
mm-mm. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, what stands out to you? What did you think when you first discovered it? Um, how did you discover it?
So I had like stumbled onto a bunch of other fan films before this, and when I found it, I was like, is this actually a fan film? Because
Hmm.
I don't know, you just get this stigma with other fan films that's like okay acting, um, production design is so, but when you watch the trailer and you watch the content that they've posted on this, it's like it's so not a fan film. It feels so professionally done, and it's just,
Hmm.
um, yeah. I don't know. There's a few statistics that I want to kind of put out. They had 442 backers on Kickstarter, and they had $26,000. And I think the fan film guidelines are like it has to be under $50,000. But the reason why I bring this up, it doesn't feel like this production, their budget doesn't feel like 25,000. It feels like 150,000. I feel like they've just done such a great job with production design and moving this project forward. So that's that really jumps out to me when I
Yeah.
first look at this.
Yeah. To give a little quick background on what it is for those of you who might not know, I'm assuming that most of you do, because it's pretty out there at this point. It's been in development for quite a while, and
Hmm.
I think there's a pretty decent spotlight on it.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you
it's a
guys
fan film.
yeah if
Mhm.
you guys want to do some research, all their Pacific 201 information is down below. So go forward, those on
Great,
them. Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
Um, yeah, Pacific 201 takes place. It's like I said, it's a Star Trek fan production, but it takes place in the year 2200,
Yep.
I think. Um, it takes place like in the pretty much right in the middle of Enterprise and TOS, and it's all about like the fallout of the Romulan War and the direction that Starfleet and the brand new Federation is heading in the wake of the Romulan War, and picking up the pieces after a conflict like that with um, millions of dead and um, all the political stuff that comes along with that. And building off that quick, terrible synopsis, it doesn't do it justice. The thing that stands out to me the most is that it, unlike a lot of fan productions, which are great, I love them. I love what they do. I love seeing fans like express their fandom in that way. Um, but unlike a lot of what we've seen before, this charts its own path. It like carves out its own niche. It finds a spot in the timeline and builds on it, develops it, you know, in a credible way that makes sense in canon.
Hmm.
Um, it's not taking, you know, TOS sets and TOS characters and expanding on a show that already exists. It's a totally new thing that fits and makes sense in the grand scheme of things. Um, And as somebody like me who loves Enterprise and is pained by the fact that Enterprise was kind of cut short and was building to certain things that we didn't really get to see,
Hmm.
the fact that this takes place in the aftermath of that and puts a spin on some of that stuff that Enterprise was on its way to doing, um, just totally makes me fall in love with it.
Hmm.
It's seeing the aftermath of the Romulan War is awesome. Um, and I guess what I'm trying to get at here is if you go back, if you look at the Pacific 201 YouTube channel and you watch the the stuff you were just talking about, the clips, um, the trailer, all the tech
Hmm.
stuff that's on there, all
Hmm.
that stuff's amazing, and we're going to talk about that. But there are videos early on in the developmental stage, where the creator of it, Eric Henry, is talking about the background of the story,
Hmm.
the setting. It is so detailed and so well thought out, and connects everything so well. Uh, it's unreal. It's if this was a real show, I would be over the moon. If this was like
Yeah.
the new show that was coming, and that's not to say anything bad about Discovery. I am pumped, as anybody who's here on a weekly basis and follows us knows I am on board the Discovery bandwagon, 100%. Um, but if this was the show or this was the next show, I would be 100% excited and have no reservations whatsoever if this guy was running it and it was going in the direction that it's
Yeah.
going in. Yes. Um, I think it's that well thought out and that
Yeah.
well detailed and that well conceived. Um, so if anyone in here hasn't already um, gone back to their YouTube channel and really looked at their stuff, I highly encourage you to do it. Um, I don't think you'll regret it, and um, even with the guidelines in place and keeping in mind that we're not going to get quite what we originally would have before the guidelines. It's not going to be a 2-hour movie. It's going to be
Yeah.
two 15-minute segments.
Hmm.
Just hearing his his thoughts, hearing his ideas, even if we're not going to see them on screen, is enlightening. It's interesting. It's
Hmm.
it's the thought, the amount of work that he's put into developing this deserves our attention, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, and I think that just speaks to his, um, this production in general. It's like they're definitely not taking any shortcuts. They're taking the time,
no,
energy, and money to just develop this thing so to the just smallest detail. There, like it's
hmm
crazy. I mean, we'll talk about, um, you know, more of that. But that's what I love about it is that they're gonna do it right. They're not gonna just wing it and try to
hmm
push something out really fast. They're putting in the work. So I
yeah,
definitely,
they've been doing this.
yeah.
This is like a 3-year-old, uh, maybe 4 years. I don't know. It's been years
Hmm.
since this is. If you go back, I don't know exactly what the dates are, but if you go back and look at their first, videos talking
Hmm.
about this idea that they were trying to, get off the ground. I want to say it was 3.5 years ago.
Hmm.
So this has been a long time coming.
Hmm.
Um, like you said, they're really putting in the work. It's been um, not haphazardly done, and the detail that you see in their videos and their materials speaks to that.
Hmm.
And that's something else that just stands out. Like the production design of it, the costumes are just exactly what you would like imagine. Being like a natural extension of Enterprise into TOS at that time. Early 23rd century, late 22nd century. Um, it's and I love his idea. He talks a lot about when he's coming up with these ideas for the production design. This is Eric Henry. I'm talking about the guy behind it.
Hmm.
Um, he talks a lot about wanting to design it in a way that is like our future, um, married with Star Trek
Yeah, it's like
technology.
a combination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is really I think the right way to do it. I think it has to evolve, and Discovery is kind of doing this too. It has to evolve with where we're going. Um, you have to be able to see extensions of our own technology and be able to like see the connection. And Pacific 201, I think, really capitalizes on that idea. Um, it's he talks a lot about taking inspiration from like the International Space Station and um, current space flight technology, and just extrapolating from that, building off of that when it comes to his sets and the ship designs, which I'm sure you're going to talk about.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, the production design is just incredible for a
Yeah.
fan production
Hmm.
at this level, and the fact that it's kind of going back to what I was saying originally. The most impressive thing about this to me is that putting in a lot of effort to rebuild TOS sets or any series sets
Hmm.
is impressive in its own right, and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of commitment. And it shows a lot of dedication, and it's a great way to like show your love of the
Yeah.
franchise to do something like that. But to build something totally new and to you know um, develop a brand new idea and chart a completely fresh and unique path is a totally different kind of challenge that you don't often see this in this wing of Star Trek fandom. The fan production end of things, um, because it's difficult, it's hard, and
Hmm.
it takes a lot more work and a lot more. Um, it's riskier. You're not just rebuilding something that people already love. You're coming up with a new idea and trying to sell that idea as a new Star Trek. He's doing what all the other shows did, the
Hmm.
actual shows, what Deep Space Nine did, what Discovery's doing now, what Enterprise did, what Voyager did. Building something new and hoping to win fans over with it, um,
Hmm.
and that just blows me away because I think it's a first. Um, not every fan production that I've seen is an exact. They're not all. You know, Star Trek Continues is amazing, but they're not all that. It's
Yeah.
not all necessarily just redoing TOS or doing TOS like season four. Um, but a lot of it is very much harkening back to existing sets, existing production design, existing storylines, and building off of them. Where
Hmm.
this is totally fresh and different. That's definitely my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Pacific itself, the ship?
Um, I I love it. I think this is gonna be a bold statement, but I'm gonna put on my Trekyard's cap for a little bit. But just bear with me, guys. I
Mm-hmm.
like the visuals in Pacific 201 better than Discovery.
Hey.
Now you guys may be saying like, "Oh no, Dan, you're off your rocker." I think I don't know what I think I like most about the visuals and the ship itself is it just feels so real to me. And I think what makes it so real is he took actual inspiration from actual ships, the International Space Station, like you said, and he applied it to the ship, but also having that perfect balance between like sci-fi fantasy, like the futuristic stuff, and then also practical stuff that he took from real life. So I think that combination makes um, such a great ship. I think. I mean, it was kind of over exaggerated. I like the visuals more, but
Hey.
it just speaks to um, kind of his passion for this ship and how much detail he spent on every single square inch of that ship. I think it definitely deserves his like recognition, even if it. I mean, I didn't. I it's on the same level to me as Discovery. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I love both equally. I think, but I love that it's inspired by naval ships, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek has always been kind of had that tie to um, kind of the Navy and naval culture. I love that it's kind of reminiscent of futuristic NASA, kind of, especially with the white kind of tones
Yeah.
and stuff. And I just love the detail of it. The Pacific, even I just want to highlight the shuttle bay. It's super detailed, but it has kind of a fresh perspective on the shuttle bay. It's not just this open bay where
Mm-hmm.
they come and park their ships. It's kind of like a revolving, like a
Yeah.
revolver.
Really
Like
cool.
there's shuttles, and then it revolves to the next one, and the next one can go out, and then it
Yeah.
revolves down. Then some can exit from the bottom of it. It's such a new and interesting idea that I love those details about it.
Yeah,
So that's what I love most about kind of the design, and it looks, I mean, spectacular.
it does.
Yeah.
It's it finds the exact balance of doing new, doing some radically different things that we haven't seen before,
Mm-hmm.
um, using today's technology, like he always talked about, taking inspiration from the International Space Station, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and but making it kind of undeniably Star Trek when you see it. Like when you see
Yeah.
it, it's a Star Trek ship. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. Somebody who's just kind of moderately aware of Star Trek, that would know a Star Trek ship when they saw one, would know when they saw the Pacific, hey, that's a Star Trek ship.
Yeah.
Um, Even with all the it is a Star Trek ship, but if you're interested in the details and you want to look deeper into it and you want to see all the ins and outs of it, it gives you all these new ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
it and the ideas make sense. They're not different just to be different. Um, it, they're 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 logical extensions of what we know Star Trek ships are. Like he he's the amount of work that he put into to developing something new, and the way he sells it, the way
Mm-hmm.
that he explains it, the amount of detail that he's able to in a video,
Mm-hmm.
you know, zoom up to the hull of the ship and show you this,
Yeah.
that, and explain, this is why this is here, that's why that's here, and he has like canonical, like real, in quotes,
Yeah.
universe reasons for this to be here and that to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's incredible. He could publish a technical manual, and I think he's doing it. I think he has one basically done,
Yeah.
that he's using as like a perk um, for
Kickstarter
Kickstarter
and
stuff.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's that stuff's all there, and I'd be interested in seeing it because it is so different, and so well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he's somebody that should be involved in Discovery. They should hire him and put him in the visual effects team.
Yeah.
Let him help John Eves and guys like that who are designing these ships,
Mm-hmm.
because he's got a real knack for it. He's really good at it, and he
Yeah.
respects the canon, and he has shown an ability to do things that are fresh and different, but be very much in line with what we know to expect from Trek.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that's worth having in Discovery. Um, because
That's kind
that's
of,
exactly what they're trying to do.
yeah. Yeah. That's what I love, that they're pushing the envelope um, with something new, but obviously, you know, respecting the canon, like you said. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and just to, I don't want to, I do, but I don't. I don't want to make this um, like a we're hugging him kind of thing. But like
Yeah.
Eric Henry is he's the man. He's a genuine guy. Like when you watch him in these Pacific 201 videos, or you see him on Trek Yards, um, or on the Pacific 201 Facebook page, all these places you can interact with him. Um, he reminds me of like you and I, Dan. Like he's a
Yeah,
fan.
he's a
He's
fan.
a real
Yeah.
fan. And he's a young guy. He's like fresh out of, I think, film school. Um, that Star Trek's just his thing, and he knows it in and out, and it's important to him, and this is what he's wanted to do forever. He's wanted to be able to make a fan film,
Mm-hmm.
to put his stamp on it in his own way, and I don't know, like all that. They're fan films, so obviously the people behind all these things are fans. They're not professional people,
Mm-hmm.
but he in particular stands out to me as like a perfectly genuine, like relatable guy that you could run into in the grocery store and have no idea that's that guy. Like he's a guy who's making like legitimate Star Trek, you know, content,
Yeah.
uh, and I just think it's cool that he's relatable in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of thing with him for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love like Vic Mignogna, the guy behind Star Trek Continues. Like he's like he's a voice actor. Like he's a professional in the industry. Who's very talented and established, and he's got a career in this.
Hmm.
where Eric Henry is at the beginning of his career. I have no doubt he's going to be a successful guy with whatever he does. But
Hmm.
he's a totally different kind of guy. He's young and um, I don't know. I see myself in him. Like I get it. Like I feel like I know the guy, and I don't, because he seems like just such a genuine, like normal, run of the mill guy who's
Hmm.
just doing an awesome thing, like doing an awesome job with something that he's putting a lot of work into and has a lot of passion for.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think the reason we're talking about this, like we talked about at the beginning, we haven't spent a lot of time on fan film stuff. A
Hmm.
lot of our attention on the tons of canonical Star Trek out there, the real, you know, the real Star Trek. Um,
But this
but this
deserves
is
it. Yeah.
this deserves attention,
Hmm.
and I'm glad that we're taking the time to spend some time just shining a light on it and making sure people know that it's there and that it's perfectly valid and deserves attention.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't noticed anything recently. Have you? Are you aware of like when this is? I know he's wrapping up production now. In the latest video that he put out, it's a scene. Uh,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, he comes on and he talks about the wrapping up production and he's starting up like a last Kickstarter campaign, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm guessing sometime in 2018 we'll be seeing this.
Yeah.
Is that right to you?
I think so because especially I think post production is just as important as production. So
True.
if they're
True.
if they're finishing production now, I think um, definitely they're if they've taken their time on kind of their production side, I think they're going to take even more time on the post production.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and that's just kind of their style. Their style is to very detailed to do it right. So I definitely give them respect for that. So I think yeah, 2018 definitely some gonna see some Pacific 201 content.
Yeah.
Um, I think I don't know, what his plans are, but I think he should just keep pushing this project because I would love to see even more than just just two 15-minute segments. So hopefully this is kind of a stepping stone for more to come.
Yeah. I was thinking that this morning before we came on. Like
Mm.
I would read a novel
Yeah,
about the story and
yeah.
something like that. A novel combined with his the technical manual for the
Hmm.
ship. Like there's so many things he could do to like
Yeah.
flesh the idea out and let people um, really dive into it, and people
Hmm.
like you and me would eat it up
Yeah.
uh, because it's fresh and different, and it's like I said, it's so cool that it takes a period of the timeline, this Star Trek timeline that takes over like 3 centuries of you know it's blips here and there. Really,
Hmm.
it's a like a 14-year period in the 24th century that we've seen, 15-year period, between TNG and Voyager, and 3 seasons and a few movies at TOS, and the 4 seasons of Enterprise. So over this 300-year span of time that Star Trek is like covering, we're getting little blips, and there's this huge swath of time that isn't explored.
Hmm.
And Pacific 201 finds a period, just like Discovery is aiming to do, is finding a period in the timeline that is not explored and is rife with
Hmm.
possibilities. Um,
Yeah.
you know, based on stories that take place before and after it. There's Enterprise behind it and TOS ahead of it, and it's trying to connect those dots. And I just think it's cool. I wish we would get. Like I said, if this was the official show that was coming, I'd be pumped. I would
Yeah.
really be excited because it's
Yeah.
exactly what I want. I want to see the timeline get fleshed out and see things make sense, um, and yeah, it's kind of the perfect idea.
Hmm.
It's exactly what I would want in a Star Trek show, or a Star Trek movie, or a Star Trek novel.
Hmm.
It's so I hope he does like push the envelope further and find ways around not find ways around the guidelines, but do other things besides what is allowed to be done.
Yeah.
Through the guidelines.
Hmm.
Put things out in other ways to expand on your idea because it's worthy of expansion. He's put so much time and effort into this that it deserves its its full shake
Hmm.
in whatever form he can do it in.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm sure he's got things up his sleeve. He's kind of hinted at it before. I've seen him talk about ideas with, um, I think, through like the technical manual and
Yeah.
stuff like that, coming up with other ways to flesh it out and
Hmm.
get it out there. So
Yeah.
I hope he does it. I hope there's more coming.
Hmm. For sure.
Any last things you want to just throw in on Pacific 201 before we?
Um.
What do you have linked at the bottom? Like their YouTube page, their
So down below, I have just the website, obviously, their Kickstarter,
cool,
and just their Facebook page, because I think
very nice.
that's kind of the best. You know, I could there's definitely a lot of stuff I could put down, the YouTube channel, his YouTube channel, but I think those three are kind of, you could find that stuff through those three.
Yeah,
So.
definitely.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, everybody should check those out. Everybody should go
Yeah,
on Facebook page,
definitely check it out.
see all the content if you haven't yet,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Yeah.
not to be a pitch man, but if
Yeah.
you have a few dollars to give, throw in on them. You know,
Yeah.
it's for a worthy cause. It's for good Star Trek, and
Hmm.
for a guy who's really put a lot of work and effort into it, and
Yeah.
deserves our support. So
And yeah, recognition for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, so we'd love to hear what you guys think of Pacific 201, or even just Enterprise and Deep Space Nine for sure. I know that we had a little discussion kind of in chat during this definitely information-packed episode.
hmm
So it was definitely tough to get the chat involved.
yeah, we covered a lot of ground for sure.
Yeah.
Three things that you could have, you know, maybe done an hour on each. Um, but they're things that are current. You know,
Yeah.
we definitely want to like keep up with our rewatches in a way. You know, if
Hmm.
you're as you're wrapping up seasons or shows, and I'm kind of doing the same. I think that's the right time to
Hmm.
get some raw opinions on how things are sitting, how things what your reactions are.
Yeah.
Um, when you wrap up Enterprise season 3, I want to hear what you have to say. And
Hmm.
then as Enterprise finishes, do the same thing. And that's the time to do it because it's fresh in your mind and you just did it. And there's other things that will hit randomly here and there, but
Yeah.
we're certainly going to talk about what we're watching
Hmm.
as we go. Um, yeah. One thing that we definitely want to do at the end of these is we want to talk a little bit about other Star Trek podcasts, YouTube channels that we are watching or listening to, like throughout this week, the past week. So Dan, is there anything that um, that really stood out to you this week? Did you listen to anything? Did you watch anything that you kind of
Yeah.
want to throw out there?
Kind of before I talk, like that's what we're all about here at Trek Live. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
competition with other Star Trek content. We believe that
Love it
we're
all.
kind of a family, so that's why we kind of promote. One thing for me, the podcasts were a little light this week. I'll just kind of tell you what I'm looking forward to. There's going to be a new episode of Trek Ranks coming out this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, top data moments. So I'm definitely going to give that a listen. Definitely hyped on that. Um, so that's kind of the only podcast that I'm definitely looking forward to this week. Um, was a little light. I'm usually a frequent listener of To the Journey,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Trek Live, or
Trek FM.
Trek FM podcast. Um, there was one, but it was kind of just like a clip show, just kind of like a highlight of previous episodes. Um, so I know lately I've been on Warp 5 also, which is a Trek FM. Definitely a good podcast if you have, because there's definitely some conflicting views on Warp 5, so it's always good to hear from kind of the other side of the camp and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's a robust discussion usually.
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Did you have any Star Trek content that you've been
Uh,
watching? And
I watched uh, I guess it's the Trek Collector and Irish Trekkie. They did a live stream on, I want to say, maybe it was Friday, or I don't know, Thursday or Friday, um, covering all the Star Trek Las Vegas Discovery
mhm,
stuff that came out. There were like 5 or 6 people on it. It was a good show. It was definitely entertaining.
mhm,
They covered a lot of ground talking about Discovery, and uh, they're positive, like we are. Very excited about it.
mhm,
Um, that whole panel of people that were on that show. So I watched that. That was really good. Irish Trekkie's awesome. Those other guys are great too. I don't have their names off the top of my head, but you can find them all on Irish Trekkie's live stream. Um, I've been listening to Mission Log, also like pretty religiously. I'm behind on it. I'm still trying to catch up. I'm
mhm.
in like the middle of season 6 of TNG, and they're into season 7. They are a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, and they delve deep into one episode at a time chronologically. Like they go one episode a week, and they look into the messages of the episode, what the episode's trying to say, what it's about, um, and they basically do a review of the episode as well. Like, does it hold up and stand the test of time, as they say? That's a great podcast. It's probably my favorite. So I highly recommend them. I'm sure everybody's heard of them. They're pretty big, pretty popular. Um, that's pretty much it for me so far this week.
Yeah,
Um,
I forgot to mention, like after last week's episode, we kind of talked about how there was that panel of the Klingon actor, or that not the Klingon actors, but there's the actors panel at Star Trek
yes.
Las Vegas, and I went and watched it after that episode.
Hmm.
Wow, they're learning Klingon.
Hmm.
They're gonna know Klingon.
Hmm.
That's insane. And just a few clips of them speaking it, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
dude, that's crazy. Like they have like a Klingon coach and a
Yeah.
Klingon like they have multiple people working with them just to
Hmm.
learn Klingon. That is insane.
It
And I
is.
guess that's kind of a I don't know. I don't know. It speaks to how much Discovery is putting into this and how much detail they're putting into this. If they're having their actors that
Hmm.
aren't necessarily Star Trek fans
Hmm.
learn a language. That's just that's awesome. I mean, it makes me want to learn
I know.
Klingon. I know
I know.
it's definitely a hard language like they speak to, but that's insane.
Yeah. There's that one moment that Kenneth Mitchell, who plays Call, I guess, he like goes into it. He gives like a line or two in
And he
Klingon.
gives his voice and gets really deep, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
like I got scared. I was like,
I know.
oh my gosh.
It's a Klingon. It really sounds
Yeah.
like a Klingon.
Yeah.
Like a Klingon as you would expect.
Yeah.
And if that's how he sounds in the show, he's going to be intimidating.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I totally got excited watching that. The enthusiasm of those actors and their commitment to it is telling. I have no doubt it's going to be awesome. We've talked a lot about Discovery over the months we've been doing this, like here and there, and
Mhm.
my opinion just keeps getting stronger and stronger that they're on the right track and that it's going to be great. Um, I've yet to see a person talk about it who's involved with it, uh, talk about it in a way that gives me anything but positive feelings. Um, they're they're enthusiastic, they're dedicated to it, they're aware of it. Like, I never get an impression from anybody talking about it that they're treating it like just a run of the mill TV show. Like,
Mhm.
they know that it's coming from a bigger thing than just a new science fiction show that is just a gig.
Mhm.
Um, they're very aware that there are people who care a lot about it and are invested in it being good. And everything that they say and the way they present themselves tells you that they're walking the walk. They're
Mhm.
they're they're giving it their all. So I am bought in and on the freight train
Yeah.
bandwagon. Yep,
Mhm.
and it's getting close. It's like 7 or 8 weeks from tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Eight,
Yep.
maybe 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, so it's going to be here soon before we know it.
Yeah. It's crazy
Yeah.
that and we're definitely gonna have a bunch of content
Hmm.
coming out around that time. So super pumped for
Yes.
Discovery.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about how we're going to cover it soon. I'm sure. We're working out some details about days and when we're going to do it, but
Scheduling and stuff.
yeah, scheduling.
Mhm.
Um, but you'll be seeing more of us than the typical week. And
Yeah.
yeah, Jordan, it would not be in their best interests to push it back again. That would not be
Yeah.
wise. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're on track. I think
More or
this
less. I
week they
mean, they
said,
hit. Yeah.
yeah. I think I read that they're shooting episode 11 now, so um, they're pretty well into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last things? Closing thoughts? Throw in before we.
Um.
Are you going
Definitely.
to be doing? Are you going to be doing Star Trek Online today or
Um.
tomorrow? Or
I think
sometime in the weekend?
tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. After this, we have a like a
Quick meeting of the minds.
yeah meeting of the minds. Just to kind of discuss future episodes and scheduling and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely Sunday. Check out Star Trek Online. Be streaming some. Definitely excited to get back on that. I miss it.
Cool. Looks like you got a question in chat, and
Um,
Jordan.
Jordan says, "Hey Dan, I may have missed this, but what format do you most prefer for fan films?
Hey,
Format
Jordan.
being like platform like on YouTube or would you prefer like somewhere where you have to pay to watch it or
I think you might be getting at the. Do you enjoy the carving out of your own era over expanding on lesser known characters?
I love something new.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I love Star Trek Continues, it's still um, like I loved Axanar because it was so new and something different, and I like it. It was within an era, but it was something new. It wasn't like actually someone playing Kirk or someone playing Spock or something like that. It's something new. Um, so
Or a film versus a multi-episode series.
see, that's like a bigger discussion for a whole episode because I have thoughts and reservations about let's say like film versus TV, I guess. Just general thoughts, just quick, elevators pitch type deal. I think better storytelling happens in television. That's just as far as like a visual sense. Like I feel like novels and stuff like that definitely have the superior platform. It's not necessarily the most popular because I don't think a lot of people. I mean, there's definitely big readers out there, but I think um, I don't know. This is gonna go super deep, but I think as humans, we've been listening and watching people longer than we have been reading. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it it it's easier for us to watch and listen. I guess
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm saying. If that's off the rocker, let me reel back a little bit. I much prefer television as a storytelling device than film. As much as I love film, like I love film, I think it's a better storytelling device for television. So I think as it pertains to Pacific 201, I love the idea that they're going. As much as I would love to see like an hour-long film, I love that they're going segments. So I'm super excited
Yeah.
to see the segments. Did that make any sense?
Yes, it
Okay.
did. I agree with you. I think there's so much more room for flexibility with TV and
hmm
building as you go, and you know developing things over time. Film is a totally different animal. Film is about an idea, like told succinctly.
Mm-hmm.
TV is, because especially for Star Trek. Star Trek is a TV show at
Yeah.
its core. It was
Yeah.
developed as a TV show, and its strength it comes from its long term development, and its canon. I think is what's attracted to a lot of people, and TV allows you to build on canon and tell deeper stories and um, just go deeper in every way with characters, the setting, than a film does. A film is more um, refined and
Mm-hmm.
economical as far as time. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
got to be more focused and have a beginning, middle, and an end. Like pretty confined.
Mm-hmm.
So they're different animals, but I like the idea of the multi-episode, being able to stretch it out and get to know characters over time and see them grow and develop.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And I
that's what I'm
think,
used to.
yeah, and I think that's what Discovery people have said. It's like Star Trek's back where it belongs
Yeah,
on
exactly.
television. Granted, the word television is a bit different now because we're going
Yes.
to be watching it on, um, CBS All Access and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That whole
Mm-hmm.
can of worms.
Yeah. I know Bill's a huge supporter of CBS All Access, so he's in the
I'm not going
back
to go off
pocket
on
of,
that.
of
That's a slight misrepresentation.
yeah.
But I do have opinions.
Yeah.
I'm a realist, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. It's not moving.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But any closing from the peanut gallery, Jordan? If you're still in there, anything you want to throw out before we close it out?
We'll wrap it up.
Now's the time. Are you planning on starting Enterprise Season 3 today, Jordan? Any plans to do that? Are you taking a break, like between seasons? Diving right back in?
Are you talking to Jordan or talking to me?
Talking to you.
Okay.
Did I say Jordan? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
My
said
bad.
Jordan. It's okay.
My fault. It's early.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'll watch the first episode. I think, I don't know. It definitely kind of left on a cliffhanger, and yeah, I'll watch at least one episode. Cause
Good to hear.
yeah.
We did talk about the aesthetics of Pacific 201. We talked a pretty good bit about the production design and the ship design. The
We'd love
sets
to hear your
themselves.
guys' thoughts, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Hit us up on social
yeah,
media. Post comments in this video,
yeah.
whatever works for you. Or we'll be
Mhm.
watching. Um, what your guys' thoughts? For your
Yeah.
guys' thoughts.
Um, and Rob, I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow. I haven't played this week. Um, I'll be streaming tomorrow. Definitely would love to see you there. Maybe we can play a mission or two. Um, I'm sorry, Jordan, that you are unable to. Rest in peace, Mac support for Star Trek Online.
My computer is still on the fritz, so we'll we'll see. Hopefully soon. I can dive in.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Jordan, I think when you play on PlayStation 4 Star Trek Online, I think you can only see players on PlayStation 4. I could be wrong.
Yes, I think that's how it works. That's what Rob and I ran into, at least on Xbox.
Rob's
see.
asking if we've seen the new Discovery promo. Are you talking about the 40-second promo with the monologue, like the Michael Burnham giving a very like opening credits style monologue?
Yeah.
Boldly go, yes, I love it.
Yes. Yep. I've seen
Very,
that.
very cool.
Yes. Jordan. They're doing everything they can to keep me off.
Really stinks that they don't support Mac.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Mhm.
Yeah, Rob, seeing all the characters was great.
Yeah.
I'm quickly falling in love with, well, all of them, but Lieutenant Saru looks awesome. I think he looks so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I've just fallen in love with the whole cast already.
mhm,
I'm a sucker
so,
for things like that.
it's really cool that they seem like it's a good group. You know, like
Yeah.
they seem like they're having fun, and every time you see them together,
Yeah.
it looks like a happy bunch.
Yeah.
That's
It
good
seems
to
like
see.
they already have like such a good group dynamic going on.
A lot of chemistry.
Yeah. So that's definitely key in a show like that because you're
Yes,
spending a lot of time, and I think that chemistry definitely shows through.
it does.
Yes.
It'll show on screen if they love each other. Like if they're
Mm,
really a good group that
yeah.
gets along, it'll that can't escape the camera. You know,
Mm,
that'll be there. Yes, Georgiou is so cool. I agree. Michelle Yeoh is awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with her. I can't wait to see if if everybody's correct in their theorizing that she's going to bite the dust like early on.
yeah.
Um, but I get the vibe that she's still filming. So I don't know if it's some kind of a flashback idea going on, or if she's there in some capacity. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. I have no idea. I'm open minded to whatever they're doing.
Mm.
It's gonna be cool, whatever it is. I'm sure. I almost think we are. I don't know. I'm kind of. For a long time, I thought for sure like she's a goner. She's not going to make it through the pilot or the first two episodes or something.
Yeah.
But lately, I'm feeling different about that. I don't know. I think that might be maybe incorrect.
Yeah.
I hope it's incorrect, just because it would be cool and different and surprising if it's something totally not what we were expecting, but or what we were expecting for a long time. Like
Mm.
there's been talk of that for as far back as I can remember almost
Months and
now. That
months.
she's
Yeah.
going to be quick. Yeah, she's going to be in and out. But should be interesting.
Mhm.
All right. Well, like we always say, the conversation doesn't have to end here. You know, we're always there on social media, uh, ready and ready and waiting for your comments and
Yeah.
your thoughts on anything we've talked about today or anything we've talked about previously or anything at all,
Mhm.
Star Trek related or not. Like Dan always says, you know,
Yeah.
we're down.
Um, and definitely remember all the links to Pacific 201 are down in the description. Definitely give a like or come over to Twitter and hound us if you want to see Bill and I learn Klingon, kind of like we discussed today. um,
Yeah.
but we'll definitely see you guys. Well, I will see you guys. I'll be on tomorrow streaming some Star Trek Online, but we'll see you next week
And
for episode 20. So,
so 20
yeah, definitely,
milestone.
yeah. Thanks for watching and tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
We should get like an outro music or something like that.